Thanks, guys. Before I get started, I just want to recognize one thing from this last weekend because we did not have a press conference on Sunday night. I want to thank the Embassy Suites Hotel in Piscataway, New Jersey, the New Jersey Highway Patrol, and the Rutgers Police, and also Academy buses as well for helping deliver us safely to wherever we were going that evening. And but I just thought it was appropriate right now to lead with that. With that being said, big game this weekend, obviously. Very, very impressed with U of M in terms of what they've been doing on the field and playing outstanding defense, special teams, offensively as well. And obviously a big game, 9th year running here. So looking forward to the challenge, and I'll take some questions.
Coach, just want to get this out of the way. Your name's come up. This Steve Spurrier's retirement, South Carolina. Of course, you played there.
First question. Huh?
Yeah, just get it out of the way. Can you talk about that opening of South Carolina?
Yeah, Coach Spurrier's had an outstanding career there. It's my alma mater, and we're here to talk about Michigan.
Coach, so much has been made about this rivalry over the years. I know you like to downplay that stuff unless it has to come out. But this game being the first time that you are going up against the Harbaugh, you've heard that talk throughout the bowl game from last year all the way until now. How much more, with you having the record that you have, makes this game mean that much more to your guys this year particularly?
I think these games are played one at a time. I got a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Harbaugh, what he's accomplished in his career, and what he's accomplishing now. But these games are played one at a time, and all I can tell you is every single play of every single game means something. It has its own life, I guess is what I would try and say. And as long as you keep in that perspective, you've got a chance to win that one particular play. To go beyond that, or to think beyond that, or before that, really serves no purpose right now for me. We've hung our hat on things. We're going to always try and do the best of our ability at everything that we do. This will be no exception.
Mark, I'm sure you don't like the circumstance that has made you guys a bit of an underdog in this game because of injuries and whatnot, but is there something motivational-wise there that even though you're undefeated, you're an underdog in this game?
No, I don't. I think you're only underdogs if you think you're underdogs, first of all. So it's what you think about things. It's not what, quite frankly, you write about things. It's what you think. I will say Michigan is playing outstanding football right now, and we need to play better at certain points in times. But we are undefeated. We've found a way to win football games. That's the bottom line. And every game is different as we move forward, and we're going to be excited to go down and looking forward to the challenge and opportunity. In regard to, I guess, injuries and things of that nature, you always have a plan if so-and-so goes down. There's always a plan in place. That's why you work your twos. That's why you recruit other players, those type of things. So, and I've said it all along, when things happen like this or like that, it should make your football team stronger in the long run, and that's what we're always looking towards. Do we gain something from a loss? Yeah, we do. Same thing. Whether it's a player losing a player or losing a football game, you have to gain something, and you have to also gain from winning. So we just deal with it. There's nothing you can do certain times. You just deal with it.
Mark, lost in all the talk is against Purdue, you ran for almost 300 yards with a makeshift offensive line and then almost 500 yards of offense with Connor throwing for 357 last week. So lost in all of that, has it been the success of the offense, not necessarily putting up outrageous numbers, but doing exactly what they've been asked to do?
Yes, and our games, from what I guess I know a little bit about them, but our games have gone in sections. We play very well, and then something happens, and then we have to respond. So we've had to respond to adversity every single game. Hopefully that pays off in the long run. Like I said, we're 6-0 right now, so we need to be excited about that opportunity, those things, and move forward. But We've played well, but then something happens, and then we've been ahead, and then something happens, and they catch up, or whatever the case. So we've not played perfect football games, but we have the ability to do that. And what we have to do is go down there and play well. We have to play well. They're not making a lot of mistakes. I don't feel like they're making a lot of mistakes. Everybody makes some. There's no perfect football game out there. And sometimes mistakes get magnified when you lose, or mistakes get magnified when you're expected to win by a bigger score. So, you just got to figure it out and play. Get ready to play. Become confident and get ready to play.
Mark, what are they doing, especially defensively, that's allowed them to have these shutouts when you just kind of look at the film? And are you surprised it's happened this quickly for them?
I think what they're doing defensively, they're playing a lot of tight man coverage, middle field safety. I think they're tackling well, pressuring the quarterback, stopping the run. When you stop the run, you create another dimension. Obviously, put them in long yardage situations. They're behind the chains, and good things usually happen. They're getting turnovers as well. Then on the offensive side of the ball, they're taking the clock, they're winning the time of possession, they're establishing a running game. You look at their players. A lot of the players are the same players that have been there, so they've done a good job recruiting in the past, and they're playing well. But with all that being said, there's no perfect game out there. And the second question, because you guys always ask me 2 or 3 questions, so I always forget the second question. Am I surprised? I think every football team that goes out there, I don't care where they're at, they expect to win. So the expectations are high at Michigan State. The expectations are high down the road. And I think that's the way it is. That's probably the way it's always been. So I don't think there's any difference there.
Mark, I was wondering if you could expound on their running game, the formations they put in, the kind of the scheme they run is a little bit different and old school.
Yeah, it's old school, if you want to say that, or like I tend to say, things go in cycles, and you always see things cycle back through, and then it becomes very, very prominent. They give the ball to the fullback sometimes. They're moving their tight end around in all different types of formations, 2 tight end formations. They've used 4 different tight ends. They've used 4 or 5 different running backs. I believe two different fullbacks. They get an assortment of wide receivers in there. So they're doing a lot of good things, and they're difficult to prepare for. So they have their own dimension that is difficult to prepare for, and I think they're playing good football. So it'll be a challenge.
The key to stopping that is
Stop the run.
gap sound.
Well, I think you got to make plays. You can't just be gap sound, but you think you got to make plays, and you got to win it. You got to win your little battle, your little intensity, your little war in there, battle in there. You got to win that, and then you got to make plays, get off blocks. Got to get off blocks. Have to leverage the football. And you have to tackle in space because they're going to keep pounding the wall until something breaks. Then you've got to be able to tackle.
Mark, what about Jake Rudock? You obviously have seen him before. Does that benefit you at all this week? And does he look different now as a player than he did when he was at Iowa?
I'm trying to think. We did not play Iowa last year, so we got to go back to 13 on that. But I would say that he's comfortable in the offense that he's in right now. I think he's getting obviously early on, maybe not so much. But they're asking him to do things. He's a fifth-year senior, so when you're a fifth-year senior, you've played a lot of football. I think you can adapt to a different system. So the learning curve is not so great as when you're a freshman and you're learning things for the first time and you've been coached at a college level. So you're adapting, and that learning curve is much smaller. It's more accelerated, and you can see him doing that. I think he's throwing the ball out there, shooting it out there on quick choke routes and things of that nature. So I think he's been productive.
Coach, how important is the turnover ratio going to be this game, and has that been emphasized at practice?
Yeah, well, we haven't practiced yet this week, but turnovers are probably, to me, is one of the most crucial things in a football game. So it's emphasized every single day. Ball security and get the ball.
Mark, what you saw from your passing game last week, despite the offensive line that was in front, I mean, Connor getting rid of the ball quickly, taking the hit, some of the big catches that were made in key situations. How promising was that for you, and how much were you kind of waiting to see that in a key moment from that group that's got a lot of veterans?
Well, I've said all along we have great ability to throw the football. Connor Cook does a great job. He's been in big games before. He's excelled in big games before. I thought he created in the game last Saturday night. He went to a variety of wide receivers. Dantonio Arnett cut 2 big plays. If you look at R.J. Shelton, the plays he made, big plays. McGarrett Kings, big plays, 50-50 catches. And obviously Aaron Burbage, 9 catches from us, 150 yards. So big plays. And then he throws to the tight ends as well this past week. And, Paul Lang with 2 big catches. So everybody sort of was involved, and he spread that ball around. 27 completions, I think, is what he had. So he spread the ball around through and was very effective. He also was able to run the ball, on the one quarterback run that was called. So made very few mistakes. Made the one mistake probably, and that was it. And even if you look on the film, the guy was breaking open. The defensive back made a great play on it.
Thing? Could he still come out there? And I guess just talk about
he
the
could still
importance of
come
the
out there.
special teams, going into a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at one aspect of who we are as a football team right now that's got to be cleaned up, is our special teams. I mean, if you look at a aspect, I should say, not just one, because everybody's got more than one. But this historically, in the last 9 years, we've not played like this on special teams. We've had too many things happen, and working very hard to clean those things up. But it's the nature of the game, so things happen. We continually say things happen in special teams, and we've got it. Usually, if you have a quiet special teams day, you've done a pretty good job usually. But that's not been the case. So can't drop a football, can't have a bad snap, can't allow people to come through on field goal block. So all those type of things. Got to do better in certain different areas. So we'll address those things and challenge our players.
Mark, so often in in-state rivalries, one's up while the other's down. It's kind of a seesaw. Do you believe that both Michigan and Michigan State can be really good at the same time? And what does it take to kind of sustain that for 2 in-state rivals?
What are you asking? Can we coexist? Well, families do that all the time in Michigan, so I guess we can do it. But I think, all I can tell you is this is one game of the week, one game of the year. It's a very meaningful game, but you still have to win your other football games to be successful. So I think both teams can have good football teams, if that's what you're asking. It's been done before, and both teams have gone to big bowls in the past at the same time and things of that nature. So. Yeah, it can happen. We can coexist.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about, I guess Shalik said he missed a gap the other night. I think that's the second game in a row you've had an end that hasn't filled a gap. Is that a scheme issue, or if teams found something there, what's happened with the ends and those long runs that have been popped out of there?
Well, I think the term gap sound can be somewhat overused, sort of a term that gets thrown out there among people. Football talk, football speak. But, there's different situations that create your responsibility in those gaps. And so, he misread one thing and the ball creased it. We got cracked or shielded, and the corner didn't replace. It still shouldn't have gone for what it went. Thought Hicks did a nice job running it down, make a touchdown saving tackle. But we can't have you can't have mistakes like that. I mean, you got to overcome. Let's put it this way: you've got to be able to overcome mistakes like that, which we were able to do. But you don't like to see them happen. But no, I don't think that's a history with their defensive ends or anything like that. But there's a lot of different things going on out there. People are making. It's a reactionary position. All of our positions, especially on defense, they're reactionary positions that you have to react to certain schemes and things that you see, and you have to fit it up properly. And if you don't, or if there's a tackle missed or something like that happens, bad things can happen. And that was a bad thing that happened. Oh, I think LJ will be fine. I think he's. This is why he came to a place like Michigan State. He's played on a big stage already. In the Oregon game on a real big stage and things of that nature. And every game here is a big stage. So I think he's handled that situation. He'll be ready to go.
Mark,
What will be interesting will be his first game. His first. Guys want to know, hey, what's it like? Well, I can't really tell you. You got to experience it firsthand.
excuse me, one at a time. Is there a chance Jack Allen won't play?
There's always a chance.
You don't want to update his status, do you?
No, we don't talk about injuries. There's always a chance he will play. So it's always a chance. It's life.
How much enjoyment do you get out of this week once you get through the press conference? I mean,
Once they get through the press conference.
there's more energy around the building, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is. There is. For me, personally, and for probably a lot of people, a lot of players, there are certain games that you measure. I've said this before, that you measure yourself against because you measure yourself against the past. And you sort of keep track. And you sort of keep track of, what's your record against these particular teams as you move through it, whether it's when you played someplace or whether it's where you coached that particular year. And it doesn't have to be the Michigan State game. It could be a different game at a different university. You just tend to keep track of them. Because not to say that the other games aren't important, but you just sort of put a little bit more emphasis on this. So yeah, it's exciting. There's different things going on, that kind of stuff.
Another injury question, Mark. Just to clarify at the end of the game, then Hartbarger and Cronin were replaced. Was that not injury related?
That'd be talking about injuries.
Well, kind of.
Would be fair to those guys.
Okay, was it performance related?
Throw me a curveball? We're gonna allow our players to compete this week, and those that are able to play will play. How's that?
Coach, I think since 2011, when these fifth-year seniors signed on, I believe you've won in every Big Ten stadium except for Michigan Stadium. So I'm wondering about the 2012 game, if there's any motivation or any talk about having lost that game, because I believe that's the only opportunity a lot of these guys have had to play in that stadium.
No, haven't talked about that. But again, this is Monday, but really haven't talked about that. Retribution is not the reason we play in these games. That's not what it's about. We're looking forward. We're always looking forward. We're always, as I said earlier, we want to learn from our past things where we didn't do so well and want to move forward and learn from the ones we did do well in. So I don't really think that we've won a lot of football games. I don't think they're dwelling on that 1-2 point deal. So what we need to do is be focused on the present, understand what they do and do well, stop what they do and do well, play to our best abilities, play with great effort, come with an attitude just like they will.
Mark, due to one reason or another, you've obviously had to have some offensive linemen show some adaptability. Can you talk about the job that they've done in filling gaps and changing roles throughout the games and throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, and I think I probably have talked a lot about that recently, but Mark Staten has done an excellent job, getting our guys ready, whole part whole. Our guys are in that room, submersed in that room, offensive line room, as many offensive lines are across the country. And, a guard will learn how to play tackle. Tackle will learn how to play guard. We'll move people around to play center. We have four different people that have played center. So we've been able to adapt. We've got guys that can move in and out of different positions, and we've tried to square it away during games when we've had to do it or coming into the next game. But there's no question that there are a lot of if or type things on the depth chart. But until you practice throughout the week, you really don't know where you're at. And as our schedule goes, today will be our first practice this week.
Mark, halfway through the season, I'm curious if you've gotten closer to understanding the identity of this football team, especially with the close wins and the way that they played down the stretch.
Yeah, you're getting closer. I think games like this coming up start to define you, and games throughout the rest of the season. You're only halfway through, but I think what you know about Michigan State right now is that we'll hang in there and we'll hang tough, and that we'll play through some pain, and that we'll play through some adversity, and then we've come out on the other end. And that's the positive. Are we perfect? No. Do we have some playmakers? Yes. That's what you know halfway through.
Mark, you mentioned the big stage a couple minutes ago. What does having played in the glare of the Oregon game and having come from behind in the Big Ten road game do for you psychologically?
I think just what I just said, I think it helps you prepare for adversity. If you're winning every game by a lopsided score, then maybe you're not quite as ready to play a close game. So we've had to play some close games where we've had to get out on the fourth down stop. We've had to do things at the end of the game offensively to win. To close it out. Probably the biggest thing we've done is close out games. So I think you've got to look for reasons why you're successful, and you also have to look for reasons to build on too. And I would say that's one of the things we've been able to do is handle adversity, and I think it should give us confidence, in tough games, in tough environments, in tough situations.
Mark, now that you've taken the red shirt off Delton, I wonder what role you see for him in the running back mix going forward.
I think you see him in the mix on special teams, and we'll see him in the mix as a running back as well. It depends on how he plays and how he's practicing, how much we'll see him. But that decision was made based on the situation of the game and everything that was going on. So I thought that was the right decision to make.
I think you're sitting at 99 career wins as a head coach right now. Is getting number 100 a milestone or anything you reflect on? What does that mean to you?
No, I really didn't know that. No. Getting one means something this week. That's all.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, guys.